QPR, QPR, 6 Park Rangers are on the up and up. QPR, QPR, now we're heading for European Cup.
Hello and welcome to Open All R's, the QPR podcast. I'm David Fraser. I am joined, as usual, by 3 other Queen's Park Rangers fans. Today we're recording 2 days after the win against Cardiff and the 50th celebrations of the League Cup. So we have lots and lots and lots to go through. The list is long, and we have what should be a fantastic interview in the middle of the show. But before we do all that, let me introduce my fellow podcasters. So, co-founder of the QPR podcast, Chris Charles.
Hello.
Hello, Chris.
Hello.
And we have made that sound like it hasn't been cut and stitched together, and that this wasn't the third attempt at us starting the podcast.
Exactly.
You're fresh back from the Bernabeu.
I am indeed, yes.
Home of Real Madrid.
Yeah, I had whistle-stop tour Wednesday night. Got a friend who lives out there. And yeah, it was not a bad game. 3-3, Bale sent off, 2 late goals from Ronaldo. But I was glad to be back at a proper football ground on Saturday.
Yes, indeed. Also, Mark Davis.
Hello.
Welcome back. Second time.
Second time, yeah.
And for reference and context, season ticket holder where?
Block BL.
Block BL.
Yeah, and I think it's now 20 years now. It's my 20th anniversary.
Way, well done.
So it's been a while.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And welcoming back for your 5th appearance.
Yeah, I think so.
5th appearance,
Lucky
which
number
means
5.
we are inducting you into the
Platinum
Forever
Lounge.
Open All R's Club. Is Henry Lloyd Hughes.
Thank you very much.
Storyteller.
Modern day bard.
Actor. In-betweeners, Harry Potter, and Indian Summers actor Henry Lloyd Hughes. And season ticket holder in
R Block.
R Block.
R Block.
Have you got anything else in the pipeline at the moment?
Like in terms of sporting wise or career wise.
Career-wise?
I'm doing a TV series for a place called the United States of America.
Oh, right.
And it's about William Shakespeare. So if that's your bag,
That's good.
I'm your man.
You need to update your Wikipedia page. I know, obviously.
I literally never even looked at my Wikipedia page.
I know people pretend they don't update their own Wikipedia page, but you need to. You need to do
You
it.
should go on IMDb or whatever. There are other services available that have up to, or just you should just text me every day. Just text me every day and just ask me what I'm up to.
And a new father.
A new father. Yeah, exactly.
Congratulations.
That's what I thought you were getting at.
Congratulations.
I have birthday mini hoop or a micro hoop, depending on the correct terminology.
And do we have all the necessary baby grows and bibs?
I dribble for QPR.
Yeah, all that. Good.
The classics. But it's going to be problematic because my wife is a gooner, so the war starts here.
No competition at the
The
moment,
PR
is there?
campaign.
No.
I know. I mean, true. It's true. Everything to play for.
Well, a lot to talk about tonight. So many things have happened in the last few days, and we also have the actual QPR legend that is Roger Morgan on the phone a bit later. We'll do that once we've got through sort of half of our agenda, which I will go on to in 1 minute after I've done the usual, which is remind everyone that you can follow us on Twitter at QPR Pod. You can listen to our old episodes at qprpod.co.uk, and we're on Facebook. Thank you very much tonight. The beers are on James Durnford, apart from Henry's, because he brought his own.
But thanks, James.
But thanks, James.
I'll just get the cash in an envelope afterwards.
James is based in Hong Kong. Our sponsor is Miguel Martinez, who sounds like a beer, but he's from Paddington now. He's originally from Paddington, but based in Leeds, and he's our podcast sponsor. Thank you very much to everyone for their support. If you want to support the podcast, go on our website, QPR Pod, click on the support the show button. Right. Cardiff. Let's talk about the actual game, not the occasion. Well, we'll talk about both. Chris, you've obviously had time today before you had to take your daughter to ballet to write some notes on the game. So why don't you start?
I only write notes because I'm getting so old. I just forget everything. So I even have to have notes around the house to remind me what to do. So,
I hear you.
But yeah, I mean, let's not pretend. Particularly first half, it wasn't the best for game of football I've ever seen. I think there was too many players competing for the same positions. I think Goss and Hall were sort of in the way of each other a bit. But I think, what's struck me the last few games is, I mean, if we'd have been 1-0 down at half-time 3 months ago, then it would have been quite a poisonous atmosphere at Loftus Road. But I think the crowd, you get the usual suspects who are shouting stuff out, but generally the crowd stayed with the team, and I think helped them over the line in the end. So that was really encouraging. And I think really we arguably on top in the first half. I mean, there was 3 pigeons camped in the Cardiff box for most of the game. So
I saw those pigeons and they were not moved.
No, so there clearly wasn't that much action, but it was a great header, and not much you could do about that. Maybe
they were staging a coup.
That's very
Mark.
That's terrible. I can't follow that. Well, I think that was a game we would have lost earlier in the season. I think I referred to it as we almost out-Warnocked a Warnock team.
I like that.
The first half was poor, wasn't it? I think one mistake from someone not tracking their biggest threat at a corner led to a goal. And those mistakes happen. I think it was Hall that was supposed to have been picking up the big fellow, and you could see by his reaction afterwards that he wasn't particularly happy with it. But no, they were the games we would have lost, and it's good to actually now be in a position that we can grind the team out, a result out, and win it. I mean, there are a number of things that I think we learnt on Saturday that we perhaps didn't know. I think if you wanted to understand why Ravel hasn't been in the squad recently, I think we
found out. Yeah,
he clearly needs to be on Yenny's weight loss regime.
And if you wondered where Carl Henry was, Ravel Morrison's eaten him.
I think he needs to do a bit more work. I think Goss looks like a good prospect. I don't think he had the first 20 minutes. He didn't find one of his own players with a pass. He needs conditioning to the Championship, I think. But I think he'll be a good player in time. He just needs to toughen up a bit.
I think this was in Clive's report.
I'm not sold on him.
Goss has not played 90 minutes of professional football in his life. He never played for Man United, and he's played 10 minutes for us and whatever it was on Saturday.
But don't you think that maybe we're still there's a hangover of the kind of class of '92 itis that anyone who comes from the Man U youth academy, you just like they get a free pass straight to the front of the queue.
Yeah,
he looks a good player.
Maybe,
though. Yeah. I think you can see that he's been brought up in that academy because some of the things he was trying were perhaps suited to a Man United under-23 game.
Right.
And you can't get away with that against a Neil Warnock team in the Championship. When he hardens up a bit, I think he'll be a good player.
Henry, how did you find Saturday?
Well, I think that I agree with you that it was the kind of game that we would have lost previously. I mean, the scene was set. For me, I've been away because I just had a baby, so
because you're a storyteller.
Because I'm a storyteller, I've been away telling bedtime stories.
Yeah,
and so it's my first game.
Just for context, before we started recording, this is what we jokingly referred to as an actor. It doesn't translate our joke, but this is what I'm taking the mick out of Henry when I say
you being a dodgy entrepreneur.
Yes, exactly.
And you described me as a dodgy storyteller.
Yes.
But the scene was set because I considered it throwing off the curse of the
Cardiff
of
2003,
2003, where I was there, because you've got the white shirts, you've got Cardiff at home, you've got Neil Warnock. I mean, as soon as I sat down in my seat, I saw Junior Hoilett come up on the thing. I said, "Well, he's going to score a hat trick. Absolutely guaranteed to score a hat trick."
He played him up front. He looked like he played him centre forward, which I thought was a bit strange.
Well, he didn't do much.
Well, he did what he did for most of the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Which was not a lot.
He sort of looked like he was going to do something, but then actually didn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anyway, I just thought it was all destined for us to completely commit Harry Kiri, and yet somehow we didn't do that. And I think since I've not been at many games, the atmosphere does seem to have softened in the stadium in a good way. I thought it wasn't rocking, but neither was it demonstratively bad, and therefore you probably take that as on balance. And we managed to string a kind of attritional footballing performance together, which weirdly is what we did a lot of under Warnock.
Talking of Warnock, he described us as a long ball team.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a point to an extent. I mean, if you've got a 6'6" striker, then the tendency is to knock it up to him and look for the knockdowns. But then you look at our first goal. I mean, there was nothing long ball about that, was there? I mean, and really, you've got to play to your strengths. I mean, we're still. I do think we're safe. I thought we were safe a few weeks ago, if truth be told, but. Really, we are still scrapping to get the amount of points needed.
We've got to get 2 wins out of 11.
Yeah, but I mean, basically...
But based on last year, someone will prove me wrong, because this is from memory, but from last year, the points total was low, and you only needed 42 to stay up last year, I believe. So, we're there.
A couple more wins, and I think we'll be fine. But Warnock's comments about the long ball is just Warnock being Warnock. And that's exactly why... fans of teams that Warnock have managed love him, and fans of teams that he hasn't managed hate him.
Well, you say that, but I took my father-in-law home after the game, and he was in the away end because he's a lifelong Cardiff fan. And he always says that we're a long ball team, and he always says we're dirty, and so you have to discount that. But the first thing he said was exactly the same comment. You just lump it up to Smith. Is that true, or is that just a bit lazy because you got a big target man?
No, I think it's unfair. I think you look at the goals that we scored; they weren't Route 1 goals.
No,
and yes, look, if you have a big lump up front like Smith, and he does that job very well, if you're under pressure, you're going to put it up to him and hope that he holds it up. That's what all teams.
He's so
big.
big. I kept on thinking the aspect ratio of the game was wrong. Every time he ran up the end, I said, "What? Am I sitting? Have my seats got closer?"
He actually does something with it, though. There's so many of those strikers that they get their head to the ball and it's random where it ends up.
And what a head!
Yeah,
I mean, he's got a huge head.
He's useful. He's useful at corners as well, defending them.
Absolutely.
We like what we see.
Well, he was at centre back and 5 minutes of injury time, quite where 5 minutes came from. But he ended up playing centre half right at the end. He's a good player. It's unfair to just refer to him just as someone who's there for the long ball.
I think people do that with all big strikers, don't they? It was also extremely satisfying quite how lucky our winning goal was, which I didn't realise at the time. I think everybody thought it was clean in the back of the net, but it wasn't. It was almost nodded on, going nowhere, and it ricocheted off the defenders into the net.
It came up on my BBC Sport app as an own goal.
Yeah.
So I watched it and I was like, he scored. But
it's so much more satisfying to beat Cardiff, luckily.
It wasn't as bad as the Newcastle goal against Brighton last week. I mean, that was a freak of nature, that one. But it almost took the same sort of route. But look, they all count, and the record shows 2-1 win. Thank you.
Never forget Clint Hill's ghost goal.
Absolutely, yeah. But that
should have its own podcast.
Yes.
I think what staying on Warnock. I mean, I think. I don't know, some people are saying we should have done more at the beginning to acknowledge him rather than just say welcome back to Neil Warnock and then a little round of applause. I mean, I'm not so sure really.
What more do you want?
Well, I mean, he is... I was having a heated debate with the people that I came with whether or not he was one of whom was not a QPR fan, but whether he's not a legend or is a legend or whatever. I mean, I consider him someone that has... he was blessed the time, whether it's him or not, whether it was Adele or him or man management or whatever, there was some remarkable times under his tenure. I think the interesting thing, whether this is old news, please feel free to...
Fake news, old news.
Exactly, whether it's fake news, sad. I don't know if it's true, but that he had said that it was Les that kiboshed his application for the job.
Yeah. He didn't exactly. I mean, my understanding was that when he came back to QPR for that second period, the initial he was adamant that he didn't want the job full time. And then he just started to change his mind a little bit, and then I think the day after, we beat somebody, and then the day after, Les told him that Hasselbank was coming in.
Warnock always says he doesn't want a job, and every job's his last job in football, though, doesn't he? Yeah,
I mean, he did. It was quite nice at the end. He applauded all four sides.
I thought
of the
it was completely in proportion and appropriate. We are playing his team, but there was a nice welcome for him at the beginning.
Dodgy happened. But I think it's interesting for now that you have this kind of slight time warp when you've got Holloway and Warnock there, both as the kind of old guard, but yet also still duking it out on the sidelines. I mean, I'm not saying that they have any great personal rivalry, by the way. I'm just talking about there's a lot of shared history.
There was a hilarious moment towards the end where Q-Block sang "Warnock, give us a wave," and Holloway replied.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about this. When it's said quickly, you can mishear that. Warnock, Ollie, give us a wave.
No.
What, from the other side of the stadium?
Yeah, okay.
Well, you only hear
he's not going to clap knowing that it's Warnock, give us a wave.
No, that's true.
Let's talk about the 50th anniversary. Because we're going to be talking to Roger Morgan in a few minutes, and the celebrations or commemorations on Saturday. I thought the club, I thought it was great. I thought it was great, everything they did. The white kit seems to have gone down well. I know there's...
Well, now we've lifted the curse on it.
We have.
Yeah. That was...
Does anybody know, outside of the cup final and the Cardiff game, have we played in white other than those two occasions?
Don't think so. I think
we had an all-white kit, third kit, a couple of years ago, didn't we? The infamous Nike.
Yeah, and there was also a compact kit that was white. But they've always had a bit of blue in or a bit of something else.
I think the white kit had black shorts or something.
Yeah.
But it wasn't all white, but we certainly had a white shirt the first year we came back.
We were playing in hoops up until the final in '67, and then we played in the white kit. That was the cup final kit. I'm not quite sure why we played in white.
Presumably because West Brom's colours are similar to us, because they didn't play in their kit.
No, they played
either.
in red. West Brom played in red. We'll ask the man himself.
I think it was like the 82 Cup final, wasn't it, where Spurs and QPR played in their away kits.
Yeah.
Because Spurs played in the yellow and we played in the red, didn't we? So I think it was like that.
It's weird because this is the days way before, like, it was standard to have that as a marketing.
Yeah.
It wasn't part of your budget.
Well, there was not even a badge on. There was no badge on either kit.
In the cup final, you normally toss a coin and whoever wins plays in the home kit. That's how it works normally. But
anyone get a commemorative white kit?
No. I looked on eBay. Just not that I wanted to buy one, but I did. That left a bit of a sour taste. That there was some on eBay with it while the match was still going on. Pretty much, It's
not right. They shouldn't be on eBay.
And there's one that was like £200. Gone past £200 already. And I was like, well, yeah. I mean, no, I didn't get one. I couldn't get down the ground that early. And it's a shame. It's a nice kit, but.
Well, they sold out those kits.
Did they? So they did sell out, and it was £66. Is that how much it was?
£66, 67.
Okay, there you go.
I think half of it went to the Forever Ours Club.
Yeah.
But that's nice. That's a nice initiative. That's exactly... I mean, I feel like the efforts that the club are going towards, really putting some foundations in of recognising our own history, our own heritage, and building that stuff up is working. And that has to be applauded, because for too many years it has felt like sometimes people and events or whatever has slipped through the cracks.
Well, this is it. I mean, when Briatore and co came in, they sort of like ripped the rug from underneath us, took all the seats from the season ticket holders in South Africa Road and made it into their little den with blankets that no one ever sits in, and that horrible badge. So I think gradually, piece by piece, the club are.
Anyone here ever watched a game of football with a blanket on their legs?
No.
And I never bought a single piece of merch with that badge.
No.
I waited until it went and pretended it never happened.
Yeah, I bought a shirt this year for the first time since I had to get my daughter stuff, but for myself. No.
And that's the reason why my daughter was born at the exact time. I waited for the badge to change, and I said, I'm ready.
Yeah. Well, like how you said, Henry, that the club have made real efforts in recent years. Chris, I don't know if you remember, but we had Mark Lazarus on a couple of years ago, and he was not a happy bunny. We also had him on our bonus podcast last week, and if you haven't listened to it, it's a great interview with Clive Whittingham. And I say this with the hugest amount of respect for him. He is a little bit of a... It was better in my day merchant. However, even given that, he basically said when we spoke to him 2 years ago, I've not really been that involved in the club since. They've kind of forgotten me, and he wasn't very happy about it. And it was great to see him there. I know he's been back several times recently, to hear him on the pitch at half-time at the weekend. And so he seemed very happy and very honoured by the whole occasion. And I think Henry's right. The club have made real efforts in this area, and I thought it was fantastic, everything that was done on Saturday.
Yeah, look, I think that the way the club are now organising it's much better than what it was. It's just a shame that the shirts have become another divisive issue that some are using to throw stuff at the club. You know, it's just unfortunate that.
You're talking about that they've gone on eBay and that people are upset about that.
That's not the club's fault.
Yeah.
You know, people are going to do that. But it's just it's unfortunate that that's become another divisive issue. Back to the stuff on the pitch. Look, I think it was great. You know, bringing all the family out and the way that they've commemorating it, I think is a great thing. I think the club should be applauded for a change.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's talk more now with Roger Morgan.
Hi, Roger. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
How did you enjoy that reception Saturday?
I think it was fantastic. It was a reception that I didn't expect. I knew there was going to be a reception, but it was tremendous. There was a great atmosphere there. The people were so kind, meeting past people before, and seeing them now. It was fantastic. The whole place treated us so well.
And how often do you get down to Loftus Road these days?
Well, we live in Waltham Abbey, which is quite a distance away, and not very often. Both my children work at football clubs, and going to see that, we go and see their teams if we can. And we've got grandchildren, and we go and see the grandchildren when we can. So I think we've been about 5 or 6 times this year.
Oh, well, that's not bad.
Which is not too bad.
Not too bad. And before we get on to all the stuff about 1967, what did you make of the current team? What did you think of the game on Saturday?
The game has changed so much. The game is so quick. You can always say, or we were talking about, could we play in it the present day? I would love to think we could, but it's going to be, I think we would need a little bit more fitness. And I think we've got the skill to play in it.
Yeah.
But the game does change. The way the tactics are different. And I just felt that the game was a good game, but there was the ball was more in the air and on the floor. And in our day, Alex Stocker obviously said, look, you've got a lot of confidence. You're top of the 3rd division, or we were virtually nearly top of the 3rd division. Just play the game. And we played the game and obviously benefited from that.
Okay, well, I'm going to take you back to 1967 now, and the League Cup. I mean, obviously the whole season was fantastic, but the League Cup final in particular. I mean, what was the biggest ground you played at before Wembley?
Before Wembley, I would say Leicester probably.
Yeah.
Don't forget, playing in the 3rd division, there are different grounds of different standards, and but playing in a 1st division pitch or 1st division team made a big difference. And going to Wembley, it was just being at Wembley. I mean, let's be honest, a 3rd division side doesn't think often they're going to get to Wembley, but we got there on playing very well all the year and very much motivated by the thought of playing at Wembley.
Yeah, and so 97,000. What was it like walking out there after?
It was unbelievable. You can't imagine it. You're looking around. It's terrible. You're looking around for different people that you recognise. Upton Park, not Upton Park. I mean, to the ground where we were at Loftus Road. I could take a corner and I could talk to the people on the other side of the fence. But at Wembley, it's so big. You feel a bit lost, but you forget it. You forget it and get on with it, basically. And we were playing so well as a 3rd division side, and I don't think. I mean, as you're probably aware, we didn't play well in the first half. We played poorly in the first half, and after half time, we went out there and we just played, and our confidence was very good on that particular afternoon.
Were any of the players overawed, Roger, before the game?
I don't think so. I think when you're in the third division and you've won so many games, you're so confident. You're very, very confident in what you can do. Yes, we're playing players that are first division players, but at the end of the day, it was 11 against 11. And yes, we're 2-0 down, but we had self-belief, and that belief came to fruition. But you've got to have your chances, and you've got to take your chances. I know first division teams took them probably more quicker than what a third division side. Third division side might have 2 or 3 opportunities. But on that particular day, we had our opportunities and scored the goals.
Hi, Roger. I mean, you said that the team was going in full of confidence, but that must have been quite some half-time discussion going on. You accepted that, we didn't play particularly well first half.
Yeah.
In front of that massive crowd, despite the fact you were full of confidence. What did the manager say to get you guys to go out second half and give it a go and ultimately end up winning?
I think he felt the same. We played. It was March. You start the season. 3 or 4 months before that, and if you're playing well and you continue to play well, and the camaraderie between all the players is there. Don't forget there was 5 or 6 young players, and there were some senior players, and the senior players and the young players just gelled together, and we played so well in the second half, and I think Alex Stock, he knew that what we could do. He knew that we didn't play well in the first half. I mean, you could say that, the tactics, they weren't there. It was just go out and enjoy it, and prove that you can be a winner.
Was Alex the kind of manager in at that time that threw teacups around, or was he just
No, he was a man manager. He was a lovely, lovely man. He was a man manager. I mean, as a young player going through the ranks, it was just nice being able and being appreciated and being helped along by the staff that were working at that particular time. And I don't remember him shouting. I can't see him throwing anything away at people or throwing a boot at somebody or something like that. That wasn't Alex Stock. He was a man manager, and he gave us so much confidence.
So on Saturday, obviously, we all saw all the members of the team that are still alive and their families and everything. How long has it been since you guys all got together, and do you still stay in touch, or is there much of a kind of I suppose team spirit still going?
I think the team spirit's there wherever you are, but the trouble is a lot of players went to different areas and live in different places, and it's very difficult to. I mean, Keith Sanderson was in South Africa for a long while, and players are down in Devon and things like that, and we've got families now, and we've got our own children, and then we've got our grandchildren, and they're so important to us. But nevertheless, going to a game, meeting them was absolutely fantastic. I mean, Frank Sibley, as a 15-year-old, played in the first team. My brother and I, at 16, played in the first team. So yes, we were very close then, but because we've all grown up now, and I'm 70, and Frank is 69, so they've got their children and grandchildren, and I'm sure they're watching like my parents did.
Absolutely. But on the pitch, you must have looked around and seen a group of faces that you haven't seen in one spot for so many years. It must have been quite mind-blowing.
I mean, it's such a shame. I mean, 5 players there, and we've all gone through the mill with different complaints, and but we're there. We're a family, and that family be it small or be it a big family. But the big family comprised of all the relations and friends of those players, and it was lovely to see Mike Keane's two sons, Jimmy Langley's two sons, grandsons as well. I mean, it was so good. It was so good.
I thought it was great. I thought it was very moving.
What did you think of the all-white strip that the team wore on Saturday?
It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I think it was a great tribute. I was so emotional, going out on the field, standing there when we clapped the players that who weren't there before the game started. Very, very emotional. And then when we went out at half time, being clapped onto the field, I was so emotional over it. And I mean, we're talking 50 years ago. I'm 70 years old, and I'm very emotional over that. It was a fantastic club, and I'll always say that. I think they treated us fantastically well.
Well, that's brilliant to hear. I mean, we were saying something similar earlier on. I was going to, as I said earlier on, I mean, you didn't just win the League Cup in 1967, which in itself was a phenomenal thing to do, given that we were third division, West Brom were the holders. But we also won the title. I just wondered, out of the two, which gave you greater satisfaction, or is that not a question you can answer, really?
I think it's very difficult because you play 46 games to win a trophy, and one, or it's one game to get in the cup final. I think it was just I never doubted it, really. When we were going on the cup run, to get to Wembley was to get to Wembley. If we won or lost, yes, you're going to be sad if you lose and great if you won. But I think probably the league, winning the league, was the hardest thing to do. But we played so well during that the 46 games, and the one game at as a cup final, we did our did what we wanted to do at that cup final. We didn't play well, as I said, we didn't play well in the first half, but we played certainly a lot better in the second half, and we were still enjoying it, whether we were winning or losing. But it's much better when you enjoy it when you're playing well.
And of course, you scored what was the first ever goal in a League Cup final at Wembley.
I mean, a lot of people said it hit my head and went in, but when we used to have training days, Mark Lazarus and I were told by Alex Stock to go at fullbacks and cross the ball. When you cross the ball, you go to the near post or far post, and that's what I did. There was a space. I ran into it. The ball came over Rodney Marsh's head, and I was there to head it in. So I'd done what I was told in some respects.
Good on you. Just one last quick question: is it true that you and your brother used to have different haircuts so people could tell which one was which?
Oh yeah, I'll tell you what. I'm 70. As I said to you, I'm 70 now. I still have to find out what my brother is wearing. Looking like, because we wanted our own identities. Brilliant. And it's very hard if you're identical twins to get your own identity, because your mannerisms are the same, your clothes are the same, your cars are the same. The only difference is I've still got my wife of 49 years, and he's had a couple of marriages, but they were both hairdressers when we married them.
And did you ever play any tricks?
So it hasn't changed.
That's why you married them.
I still said to him when we were going up to the ground, "What are you wearing? You're not going to wear what I'm going to wear." That's
brilliant. But did you ever play any tricks where one pretended to be the other one?
Yes, often.
Did you?
Often. Amazing. It was amazing. When I used to sign some autographs, I had to look at them to make sure it was the one I was signing was me, because on many occasions I've signed the wrong one. Because you can't help it. You look the same. You have the same. If you're playing in a game, you have the same shirts on and shorts and socks
Yeah.
If you're looking the opposite way a little bit, our mannerisms were exactly the same, and whether I'm signing it for myself or signing Ian, it was a little bit difficult.
Brilliant.
Roger, thank you so much. That was an absolutely brilliant interview. Brilliant to catch up with you. And, well, on behalf of all QPR fans and our listeners, first of all, it's fantastic to hear what a memorable experience you had on Saturday. I think that will make a lot of people very happy. And all it remains is for me to say thank you from all QPR fans, because the whole team will obviously and has gone down in QPR folklore, but you're the one who kicked it off or headed it off.
It's nice to be able to say, someone saying that, and people were saying that they're so gracious at QPR. Q&A that we had a Q&A. 80% of the people that came to the Q&A were people that had come to the cup final. Whether those 80% were, they're not of 70 and 80 years old. Were young kids that had come to the cup final with their parents and then gone to that Q&A, and they were fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Great. Well, look, it's been a fantastic week for everyone, not least you and all the other members of the 67 team. So thank you for sharing your memories with us, Roger, and please do come on again soon.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Roger.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.
I think that's worth a little clap.
Not around.
Yeah, that was really uplifting. Actually, that interview, I really enjoyed that, hearing from him. And you know what struck me? Well, two things struck me. First of all, how young was that team?
Yeah.
Frank Sibley's 69 now. He's 70. His brother, who's on the bench, is 70. They were all kids.
Yeah.
But the main thing that I kind of thought of from that was, well, first of all, the club do need to take a lot of credit, and I know there's various people that have been instrumental in that. But the one name that keeps popping up from people is Andy Sinton. Particularly with Forever Ours.
Is that his initiative?
Well, I don't know if it's his initiative or not, but I know he's extremely influential in he's a big part of the whole Forever Ours initiative, and he does a lot to kind of make ex-players feel welcome. And I think it's maybe a year and a half, 2 years since the club brought him on in that ambassadorial role. And I really do see that it's starting to make a difference, because we've seen it on the podcast. We did have players 2-3 years ago saying, don't really go down QPR anymore. Haven't really got any connection.
It used to be a regular theme of people
exactly.
you'd interview.
Yeah.
So I think Andy Sinton deserves a share of the credit for that at the very least.
Well, I think it's a lot of it is to do. I mean, for years we were saying, need more QPR people, for want of a better word, and we've definitely got a few in now, not least in the dugout. But it was interesting what he did say about the ball being in the air for quite a long time after we just had that discussion.
Yeah.
And as I said, it was a fair point from Warner, because there is a tendency to chuck it in the air a bit, but we also played it, and we played at Reading. We didn't chuck it up in the air. At Newcastle, we played it on the floor. I think you've just got to adapt.
I don't think it was deliberate on Saturday against Cardiff. I think it was in the air, but by accident. Not by accident. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't a deliberate strategy designed to.
I think the Andy Simpson thing is a metaphor for how the club are going about things off the pitch now. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of improvements that are being made behind the scenes, and Andy is just one of the public-facing parts of that, if you like, and I think a couple of years, last year on Tiger Feet 7, Andy did most of the walk, didn't he? I think.
He did, yeah.
And he's really engaging, and he's passionate about the club, and that is clearly coming through. And I think he's doing a tremendous job.
Now, talking of other things off the pitch, did you see the financial results were published this week, or were made available?
Yes. Were they legally published, or did someone just apply for a Freedom of Information Act?
No, I think they just became visible on Company's House, didn't they? As they usually do.
Yeah, no Russian hackers here.
No. Which, if anyone missed them, the summary, which was written brilliantly by Nile Rodgers on Twitter.
Nile Rodgers of Chic.
That is his name.
Right.
I didn't even think about that.
No,
Niall is in sort of, is it the Irish way? Niall.
That's a disappointment.
No, it's not Niall Rodgers.
That's a disappointment.
But no, it is. I've not even thought about that. That would be amazing.
I mean,
if Nile Rodgers of Chic did the summary on Twitter,
can we get a
did
pun?
the story?
Can we get a pun of the '67 Cup final and Chic as the
Yeah.
title of the podcast?
Just the £11 million loss last year, which
It's a bargain.
which actually, as he made the point, if you're a rich benefactor, that's basically a hobby. We've turned it from
Guilty.
a liability into a hobby. Losses are down from 11 million from 46 million, which isn't bad. 12 million pound from player sales, and the wage bill halved pretty much, nearly halved from 63 million to 36 million. Well, that's what happens when you get rid of a bunch of 80 grand a week players who are on £4 million a year. You get rid of 3 of them, and you knock 12 million off, don't you?
And someone that's a sensible CEO as well.
Indeed.
And that's before the January transfer window, where presumably, I mean, because we've been paying them up until January, so we got rid of a few more there.
Yeah, I think it's before that. Yes, it is. Net liabilities down from 205 million to 10 million because of the share write-off. The owners have written off 180 million, which is rather a lot, but it's led to the lowest loss for 8 years. And the thing that stuck out at me, which I've barely seen talked about, although it has been talked about a little bit, is do you know that Tony Fernandes is not our majority shareholder?
Yes, I saw that. It's Ruben, isn't it?
It's Ruben. Pronounce his surname?
Henry.
It's-
You're the storyteller.
It's Ruben Ham.
Yeah.
He now owns over half the club, and the Metalls only own 7%.
It's interesting because if you stuck him in an identity parade, not many people would be able to pick him out, would they?
Aren't they the best type of owners?
No, I agree. But Tony Fernandes, he was tweeting again on Saturday, wasn't he? Not too bad this time.
So wait, but is that a recent switch? Are you saying that, or has that always been the case?
No, it hasn't always been the case. But
is that a recent?
Between the publication of the last set of accounts and this set of accounts, his shareholding's gone up to 51%. Tony Fernandes and Camarudin, is it? Own 41%.
Yeah, and the Metal's interesting. He's gone down to 7%. Is that right?
Yes, I believe so.
But again, I hadn't heard much from Amit, but he was quite active on Twitter on Saturday, saying what a great win it was. And
I think Amit's still a fan, clearly. But I think that Amit's shareholding isn't a huge surprise. I think that's generally known that it's been going down. But yeah, look, Ruben it sounds like he's the kind of majority shareholder that likes to stay out of the spotlight. I don't think you can begrudge Tony Fernandes having a bit of a go back on Twitter occasionally after some of the abuse he gets, but he perhaps does he's not quite Trump-like in his early morning and late night Twitter rants, but sometimes they are ill-timed and he gets a bit more stick as a consequence of it. But no, Ruben's going about it the right way. And I don't think the numbers actually got as much press or discussion on social media as they perhaps should. Look, the numbers are still big, for a business, but if you compare it to where we were 2 years ago, we're no longer a basket case. No, we're just the numbers are getting smaller all the time.
Lee Hoos, one of the best signings of the last 2 years, or am I going OTT?
I think so. Absolutely, I think so. Again, he did part of the Tiger Feet 7 walk, and speaking to him, one-on-one, he's a sensible guy. He has some proper plans for the football club that I think we've been missing over the boutique years, and absolutely he's been one of the most important signings we've made.
Boutique. Look, I think you look at clubs like Leyton Orient who are in all kinds of trouble at the moment, and you think, well, we're grateful to sort of have a level of management that seems to be running the club properly.
Especially given how close we came to, there has been so many opportunities for us to absolutely implode or explode or whatever, and somehow to have gotten to the absolutely lucky position.
Just the £11 million in debt.
Well,
yeah, you're right.
But that is a drop in the ocean compared to where the amount that we used to be hemorrhaging every year. So it's kind of blessed that we're at least taking steps in the right direction.
And there were whispers also this week that FFP is going to be finalised soon.
I am convinced that was finalised months, if not over a year ago. But this is totally my own theory.
FFP. So this is like Article 50.
Yes, yeah.
They're just never triggering it.
Totally my own theory. I have nothing to back it up. I am convinced this was settled a long time ago and it's subject to a confidentiality agreement. It's because nobody talks about it anymore. There's never an update from the club.
So do you think that is in those figures then?
Could be.
Is the FFP.
But given all the crap we were given over this, it'd be interesting to see what happens to.
You mean as a club?
Yeah, and hung out to dry a bit. But interesting to see what Aston Villa's accounts, for instance, next season. Middlesbrough if they come down, because yes, we obviously made a lot of bad decisions, but like I say, I don't. The stick we got for it, and other clubs don't seem to be getting anywhere near as bad as we did.
Well, other clubs have had transfer embargoes and things placed on them. We haven't, and that's why Forest fans are so upset with the fact that we appear to have gone without censure, and others have had transfer embargoes. So, there's certainly a confidentiality clause there. But let's see how it comes out.
Maybe it's the Redknapp factor, as in there's certain things that we did over that period that were real, like putting our heads above the parapet.
Yeah.
Who was the guy that came on transfer deadline day?
Odemwingie. Why did I give him a German pronunciation? Odemwingie.
Thank you for your official German pronunciation. Yes. But I'm talking about stuff like that. Like there was some, everyone knows, absolutely bonkers moves going around left, right, and centre. That is exactly the kind of reason why we got so much stick for that period.
And now Redknapp's doing those Sainsbury's adverts. Have you seen them online with his the
it's
ones
a classy
where they
move.
dance?
It's the least that he deserves.
Doing those with his daughter-in-law, with Louise Redknapp. Redknapp's
what?
in the.
He needs to pay for his wife's medical bills after he ran her over.
So his knee's okay now.
His knee's fine. Let's do R's End before we talk about Barnsley briefly. Let's do R's End, which is anything and everything that you haven't brought up yet. I will do mine whilst giving you time to think. And we'll come to you first, Chris, after me. So, two things. First of all, we mentioned this on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. Harry, our esteemed engineer, is not going to be with us next season. So we're looking for a replacement. Yeah, we're looking for our own Peter Odemwingie to engineer the podcast. Basically, what he does is he sits in front of a laptop and he goes on the internet throughout the podcast, pretending that we don't realise he's on the internet, looking at whatever he's looking at.
YouPorn.
But during of course, he's on the internet. But he also twiddles a few knobs on the mixing desk and helps provide you with this podcast. So, if you know a bit about that, or even if you don't, but have, let's say, a bit of a technical knowledge, please get in touch because we need some help from the start of next season. The other one is we have no details on our live podcast yet, apart from to tell you we are doing a live podcast, which we've done the last 5 or 6 years, at the end of the season. The date for your diary is the 9th of May, Tuesday the 9th of May, after the Norwich City game, which is the last game of the season, and it's going to be at the Good Ship, isn't it, in Kilburn? The Good Ship. So put that date in your diary. More details available soon. Chris.
Yes. Okay. Well, first of all, I want to mention the Tiger Cups. You mentioned Tiger Feet 7 a couple of times there. Tiger Feet 8 is coming up on the 18th when we're going to be walking to Loftus Road from the training ground, as previously mentioned, because all the few clubs that are in London in our division, all the games will move to Friday night or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's a great cause. The money all goes directly to the kids. We've raised thousands over the years. And if you would like to help us, go to just Google Tiger Feet 8.
Or there's a button on our homepage now, so you can go to our website qprpod.co.uk and there is a Tiger Feet button. You press big kind of banner ad. You press on it and it will take you through to the fundraising
even
page.
Better, either or. So please support that. And second thing was, going back to the Bernabeu, as you pronounced it.
Please, Bernabeu.
Yeah, okay.
Please.
All of your pronunciations are spot on.
Thank you, Henri.
Odemwingie.
What struck me was that because we were up near the ultras, and that they even when 3-1 behind, they were singing, and it was orchestrated singing with some bloke at the front with a microphone and the drummer and all the rest of it. But they sang throughout. But nobody else sang, even when they scored 2 late goals, the people next to us, and they were singing all these obviously famous Real Madrid songs. everyone else just sat with their arms folded. It just struck me as quite false sort of atmosphere. I mean, Loftus Road, I know, you go through fits and spurts, and it's Q Block that gets people going, the R Block, and everyone else joins in.
That's me.
And then when we score, then like everyone goes in. But it just seemed like a really sort of false atmosphere. And and going back to Loftus Road, the Bernabeu was obviously fantastic. But it was really...
I thought you were joking. You weren't joking.
No, it was great. But it was great to be,
But it wasn't Loftus Road.
No, I left Loftus Road happier than I did the Bernabeu. So there you go.
God bless us, everyone.
Yeah.
Mark.
I think we might touch on it and Barnes in a moment, but I think we found out today that the referee on tomorrow night is the same guy that we had at Blackburn. And of course the infamous wasn't over the line goal. I know it's not his fault, but I think my
Is that Glenn Hill's goal?
No,
the recent
earlier
one.
in the season, a couple of weeks ago. But actually, my point was the referee on Saturday I thought was really good in an age where referees are getting a lot of stick for being quite poor. I think, and that was his first game at the Championship as well. I think he handled it really well. And the second point to that was when I was growing up, my parents always used to say, you're getting old when the police officers look young. Mm-hmm. How young do the linesmen look these days?
Yeah.
They are getting younger and younger. I think the guy on our side, on the Paddock side, was about 14 years old. And standing up to Warnock, giving him grief for most of the game, is some effort. So I know the referees are getting a bad stick at the moment, but I think the guy we had on Saturday was really good.
It's good to give some positive feedback.
Yeah. No, sorry, I was just stunned there.
You're potentially the first person that's ever been on this podcast and spoke up in favour of referees. But
No, listen, I think it's a really good point. I think it's a really great point.
Henry,
Well, I mean, now you've got me started on referees.
was that your whole point about referees?
No.
Struck
Okay,
out?
I've got a side point, which is that I, for one, have been... You might want to edit this out. I, for one, have been enjoying the Premier League show on BBC, right? Which is not Match of the Day. It's the one that's on the weekend.
Yeah.
And the reason why I realised why I've been enjoying that is because it's what Match of the Day used to be before they had to spend the entire of the allocated hour and a half or whatever talking about possible penalties, possible fouls, possible offsides. The moment football releases itself from the shackles of not including technology, we will all be spared the nonsense of Alan Shearer's furious face shouting shite. All right? And rugby has it, cricket has it. There's loads of sports. It's not rocket science. I know next year the Championship is getting goal line technology. That is the bare minimum. Why not have referrals or TMO, whatever they call it in rugby? I know it's controversial, but we can all save ourselves.
It's got a bit less
hell
fun.
of a lot of heart attacks and basically hot air if we just bring that in. The second thing is Barnsley tomorrow night, always worth remembering. It's 20 years since Trevor Sinclair's wonder goal.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I was there.
I was there.
I wasn't. I wasn't.
And I used to be, I had blonde curly hair and I've had dark hair ever since. It changed me in every single way. I was a new man.
Which leads us on to Barnsley. How are we going to do tomorrow night? You can start us off, Henry.
How are we going to do? I literally have no idea.
Okay. I'm not sure about this.
You mean
one.
my prediction?
Yes.
1-1.
I'm not sure about it because they are... I think it's pretty... The Championship, particularly the top six, is almost done now, very early on. Fulham can sort of still make it, but most of them are locked in.
Don't you feel like they're punching, by which I mean punching above their weight, Barnsley?
Yes,
so therefore...
And they are one of 2 or 3 clubs, I think, them, Derby, Preston, Norwich, who still think they can probably make it. So I'm a little bit worried about tomorrow.
That's like saying that we weren't all like a lot of QPR fans mathematically working out that we could still make it.
Well,
only like 2 weeks
but
ago.
Barnsley actually can. Generally, if you're in and around 1 point a game, you've got a chance. I think Barnsley are 10 points, maybe 11 points off with 11 games to go. So, as you know, whenever I'm worried about a game, I say 1-1.
Yeah.
Chris?
So we're both on 1-1.
Yeah.
We're agreed on that.
Yeah.
Well, I think, as we say, Ravel looked like a little boy lost on Saturday, and
Not so little.
Yes.
not so little, yeah.
Had a few spicy meatballs.
I think it'll come on and it'll score a dramatic late winner, and he'll be rewarded with that ice cream Ian Holloway's promising. Not that he needs any more.
I like this.
Mark.
I think before we start, Barnsley, I think it's always good to see Derby's annual bottle job start quite early this year. So,
no, they beat Barnsley on Saturday.
They beat Barnsley, but there's still not many wins in a few games. So that's always nice to see.
Shots fired.
In terms of Barnsley, look, yeah, they are a decent side. They're up there because they deserve to be. It worries me that I think Holloway's come out today and said that he's planning to make changes. I think it need changes from the starting 11 from Saturday. What team? Is Freeman back from suspension?
Yes, it wasn't straight red, was it?
So I think he'll walk straight back in. I think putting some more width to the team will play to Smith's and Washington's strength. So I think there'll be changes. It'll be tight. It would be lovely, wouldn't it, just for once to get a comfortable 2-0, 3-0 under no... But that never happens.
And your prediction, sir?
2-1 again. QPR.
2 QPR. Well, we'll take that. Thank you very much. To play out the podcast this week, we're going to do something slightly different. So, did you notice that during the halftime parade of the 1967 players on Saturday, there was a familiar tune... semi-familiar tune coming over the tannoy, which was, well, I can't say it was our theme tune. Our theme tune is the bastardised version of that song, so it was kind of the original of QPR. Do you know who sings that? Do you know who the lead singer, the lead vocal on that song, on our theme tune?
QPR fan?
No. The lead vocal...
Elvis.
The lead vocal
Philip
on
Collins.
Our theme tune is Mark Lazarus.
Is it?
No way.
It is. It is. So at some point after 1967, there was a track released called QPR the Greatest by Mark Lazarus with Queen's Park Rangers FC and supporters. Included in it is the verse... sung by Mark Lazarus. We came out with Mike the Master, who was urging us to go, and then Roger went and headed us a goal. Rodney equalised soon after, then before the ref could blow, well, I headed yet another to the toll. It rhymes, I think, in the music.
Great rhyme.
Anyway, if you have...
I think they should play that before every QPR.
Well,
everyone seems to get everyone going a little bit.
Well, so rather than our theme tune, our edited theme tune, this is the original to play out the podcast.
Nile Rodgers.
QPR, the greatest.
Who'd have thought that we'd have done it? Who'd have thought that we'd be here? Who'd have thought that we'd be knocking back champagne? Who'd have thought that we'd have won it? Who'd have thought we'd get the cheer? When final whistle blew, we'd won the game.
QPR,
They're the greatest.
QPR,
They're the greatest.
Queen's Park Rangers are on the up and up. QPR,
They're the greatest.
QPR,
They're the greatest.
now we're heading for the European Cup.
Now West Brom, they were the neater. At the start, they had us licked. At half-time, we were feeling pretty grim. Cause the two that got past Peter, blimey mate, they had him tricked. But old Alex still felt sure that we could win.
QPR, they're the greatest. QPR, they're the greatest. Queen's Park Rangers are on the up and up all together.
QPR,
They're the greatest.
QPR,
They're the greatest.
now we're heading for the European Cup.
We came out with Mike the Master, who was urging us to go, and then Roger Upton headed us a goal. Rodney equalised soon after, then before the ref could blow, well, I added yet another to the toll.
QPR,
They're the greatest.
QPR,
They're the greatest.
Queen's Park Rangers are on the up and up. QPR,
They're the greatest.
QPR,
They're the greatest.
now we're heading for the European Champion Cup.
Who've you got then? Well, there's Frank and Keith and Tony, and Jim's not retiring yet. There's Alan, Ronnie, Hunt and Roger's twin. With a team like that, not only can you flipping well get set, but you bet your life we're sure to bloody win.
QPR, QPR, Queen's Park Rangers are on the up and up. QPR, QPR.